A nuclear disaster struck the Earth, causing insects to transform into enormous mutants that nearly wiped out humanity. In an underground bunker, a boy named Joel Dawson lived with his friends because it was too dangerous to venture to the surface. Sadly, Joel was the only one without a partner, and he felt like an outsider, though he wasn't bullied. Joel had no idea that he would soon stumble upon a remarkable discovery that would change the lives of the survivors. He remained underground because massive monsters roamed the surface. 7 years prior, a colossal meteorite was hurtling toward Earth. To prevent a catastrophic impact, humans launched nuclear missiles into space, successfully intercepting the meteorite. However, this act led to nuclear fallout on Earth, mutating cold-blooded animals into giants that preyed on people. Despite efforts, 95% of humanity vanished. The survivors sought refuge in hidden bunkers, fighting for their survival. Joel had formed a close-knit group of fellow survivors, making life in the bunker more manageable. They ran out of ammo, but the resourceful hunters managed to scavenge supplies from the surface using makeshift weapons. Joel, not a skilled hunter, contributed by tending to a cow in the bunker and preparing food. One day, monsters breached their sanctuary. Everyone armed themselves, ready to fight back. Joel wanted to join, but his friends thought he couldn't handle it due to his fear. They told him to stay back. However, when one of his friends was attacked by a monster, Joel couldn't stand by any longer. He grabbed his crossbow and, despite his fear, rushed into the battle. He watched as an enormous bug threatened his friend. Paralyzed by fear, he struggled to move. Thankfully, his friends rescued him. Joel thought back to life before the big disaster happened 7 years ago. He remembered a special date with his girlfriend, Aimee. On that day, he drew a picture of her, and Aimee really liked it. She even gave him some cool drawing stuff as a gift. They were so happy, and that summer was the best time of his life. But then, their city was suddenly invaded by strange mutant bugs, and they had to run away quickly to stay safe. Now, in the present, Joel still used the drawing things Aimee gave him. He drew pictures of the big, scary monsters in his notebook and wrote down how to beat them. That was his way of helping. Afterward, Joel used his radio to talk to a group of people nearby who were surviving, just like him. And one amazing day, he found out that Aimee was with them. He started talking to her, and he dreamed of seeing her again, even though it seemed impossible. Joel thought about the last time he saw Aimee, 7 years ago, right before everyone had to leave their homes. He told her he loved her and promised to find her again someday. Now, he had no idea if he could keep that promise. While Joel's friends talked about the breach in the bunker, Joel surprised his friends with an unexpected question. He asked them how far away Aimee's colony was, and it turned out that it was 140 kilometers away, a week's journey on foot. Even the bravest hunter in their group could only make it halfway. It seemed impossible, but Joel had a different perspective. He cared deeply for his friends, but his heart belonged to Aimee, and he believed he could find happiness only by her side. Joel made a bold decision to venture out on his own. He no longer wanted to live in fear, and he was ready to take control of his destiny. His friends, shocked by Joel's newfound courage, tried to convince him otherwise, but he was determined. He told them, "I can take care of myself. I'm probably stronger than you think." After some hesitation, his friends gave him a map, wished him luck, and advised him to steer clear of danger. Joel stepped onto the surface for the first time, relishing the fresh air. He began his journey without a specific direction in mind. To his surprise, the world outside was better than he had imagined. He had covered some distance when, suddenly, he heard the rustling of insects nearby. In a quick decision, Joel climbed into an abandoned house to seek shelter. Joel was searching for food when he got a scare. He opened the fridge and found someone inside. Startled, he dashed to the backyard. There, he saw a big toad stuck in the pool, trying to catch him with its long tongue. Fortunately, a friendly dog came to his rescue. The toad made another attempt to grab Joel, this time succeeding in pulling his leg. But the brave dog bit the toad's tongue, freeing Joel. The dog then led him to a safe trailer, closing the door behind them. Above the dog's couch, a sign said, "Boy," suggesting it was the dog's name. Joel learned that the dog's previous owner used to live in the trailer but had passed away. The dog missed her dearly but now seemed to accept Joel as a new friend. Little did Joel know how important this friendship would become for him. In the morning, Joel and his newfound friend, Boy, hit the road together. Joel decided to carry the red dress that meant so much to Boy in his backpack. As they traveled, they played together and watched out for danger. They discovered they had a lot in common and formed a strong bond. During their journey, Joel came across a bush with wild berries and wanted to try one. But Boy tugged at his pant leg and wouldn't let him eat them. It turned out the berries were poisonous, and Joel made a note of them in his diary. While continuing, he accidentally fell into a deep hole, and Boy couldn't pull him out. Joel found himself trapped, surrounded by the ominous sound of insects rustling from every direction. Feeling scared but determined, Joel grabbed a large bone and prepared to defend himself. Just when things looked dire, a rope suddenly dropped down, and some people pulled him out of the pit. The pit was already swarming with mutant insects, but Joel was safe for the moment. His rescuers introduced themselves as Minnow and Clyde, tough survivalists who appreciated Boy. They agreed to take Joel with them on their journey. The survivalists knew a lot about the mutants. They could remember a person's scent and would relentlessly chase them. That's why it was a bad idea to stay in one place for too long. Joel told the survivalists that he wanted to reach Aimee's colony by himself because his heart told him to do it. They thought he was crazy, using the term fool's errand to describe his plan. They didn't think he was suited for life on the surface. To make up for Joel's lack of surface skills, Minnow taught him how to use a crossbow. While Joel was learning, Clyde used binoculars to look around and spotted a mutant that had picked up Joel's scent. It was following them, which was dangerous. They had to leave immediately. The survivalists decided to head north, to a place high and cold where monsters didn't usually go. They hoped to find a large group of survivors there. Joel thought about joining them but decided that finding Aimee was more important. Then Clyde suddenly told Joel to freeze and quickly handed him his t-shirt. The thing behind Joel that looked like a rock turned out to be a giant snail. Clyde put Joel's t-shirt in the snail's shell, and it quietly carried the scent away. Joel used a clever trick to scatter his scent, making it hard for predatory monsters to find him. He learned that not all mutants were dangerous. Some were peaceful, especially those with kind eyes. The group continued their journey quietly. In the evening, they rested, and Joel added more notes to his diary. Clyde liked his monster encyclopedia, which boosted Joel's confidence. Joel shared about his hometown, explaining how it had been badly damaged during the initial outbreak, with few survivors. Clyde admired Joel's survival skills, and this made Joel start to believe in himself and the importance of his monster notes, even though he didn't yet know how crucial they'd be in the future. They traveled together for a few days, and although Joel found the survivalist life tiring, they became friends. He also became skilled at shooting and learned survival tips, like how a special fern in the woods could help with insect bites. He discovered that the scariest monster was a queen sandworm. Finally, the time came for Joel and the survivalists to go their separate ways. Milo, one of their companions, became attached to him and tearfully said goodbye. The survivalists believed they would cross paths with Joel again and gave him a grenade to improve his chances of survival. With only 50 kilometers left to reach Aimee's base, Joel and Boy set off confidently. However, at one point, Boy began acting strangely, as if sensing danger. He hid beneath a statue of a duck in an abandoned park. Soon, Joel heard the approaching sound of a mutant. It was right behind him, and when he turned, he saw a gigantic centipede crawling out of the ground. Joel felt repulsed by its tendrils, but he swiftly grabbed his crossbow. Unfortunately, the centipede easily knocked it away and wrapped its tail around the duck where Boy was hiding. It seemed like the dog's life was hanging by a thread. In that desperate moment, Joel lay on the ground, recalling the painful memory of how he had lost his parents. They had been trapped in a car during an attack and had urged Joel to save himself. Within seconds, they were taken by a mutant, and there was nothing Joel could do to help. Now, he refused to remain powerless and let Boy suffer the same fate. Joel, with determination, shot the mutant centipede, diverting its attention and then finishing it off with another precise shot. Both he and Boy were saved, and they joyfully embraced. Later that night, they found refuge in an abandoned town, taking shelter from the rain in a diner. In the diner, they met Mavis, a lifelike robot designed to interact with humans before the apocalypse. Joel shared his mission with Mavis, who had limited energy left, but allowed him to use her to contact Aimee. Through Mavis, Joel got in touch with Aimee, and he excitedly told her about his adventures and newfound bravery. Aimee was amazed and confirmed that her camp was just 15 kilometers away. She also shared the exciting news that some new people had arrived at their camp, eager to help and save them. Joel's attempt to communicate with Aimee was abruptly halted as Mavis's charge ran low. In that moment of uncertainty, Joel questioned the purpose of his journey. Was he risking his life to reach Aimee for nothing? Joel confided his doubts to Mavis, feeling that his quest might be too reckless and that Aimee might not even want him. However, the robot held a different perspective. Regardless of the outcome, the journey had already transformed Joel, making it far from pointless. As they continued their journey, Joel and Mavis marveled at some flying jellyfish. However, by morning, Mavis's charge depleted entirely, rendering her non-functional. Joel pressed on alone when he suddenly heard a mutant's growl and saw a fin emerging from the ground. It was the same terrifying monster he had encountered before, a queen sandworm. In an attempt to confuse the monster, he made noise, but the queen reacted swiftly and pursued him relentlessly. He ran alongside Boy, trying to reach safety, but he stumbled and tumbled onto the riverbank, losing his backpack in the process. Desperate to evade the queen, Joel quickly got up and hid with Boy in a narrow stump. The queen crawled up toward them, extending its menacing tentacles. However, the monster's sense of smell failed, and it eventually moved away. Joel hoped the danger had passed, but then he noticed Boy's red dress, which had belonged to his previous owner, falling out of his backpack. The wind carried it into the river. Despite Joel's pleas, Boy rushed out of hiding to retrieve the dress. The dog's barking alerted the queen, and it immediately returned to the shore. Facing the peril head-on, Joel decided to take decisive action. He grabbed his grenade, pulled out the pin, and with precise aim, eliminated the queen. As he swam across the river, Joel felt a mix of pride and strange sensations all over his body. Reaching Boy on the opposite bank, he discovered that giant leeches were attached to the dog. Joel removed the leeches in disgust and scolded Boy for risking their lives over the dress. Hurt, Boy ran away, leaving Joel to continue alone. He soon fell ill with a fever from the leech bites, losing his sense of direction and control. In his weakened state, Joel managed to find the medicinal plant mentioned by the survivalists and ate it, though it offered limited relief. His deepest regret was yelling at Boy. Suddenly, Joel spotted Aimee in the bushes, and he kissed her in a triumphant moment before losing consciousness. Joel eventually woke up in Aimee's camp, where he shared his journey with her, expressed gratitude for her rescue, and fondly remembered their kiss. However, there was an underlying unease due to Joel's hallucinations. In an attempt to smooth over the awkwardness, Aimee shifted the conversation to the people who had arrived to rescue them. Among them was a yacht captain and his crew. Aimee explained that the colony was preparing to set sail, and they could discuss things more later. Aimee was the only young person in her camp. Everyone else was elderly. In contrast, the incoming captain and crew were young and cheerful, which made Aimee more inclined to trust them. The captain left a positive impression on everyone, admiring Joel's courageous feats and inviting him to a night party in honor of the colony's upcoming departure on the yacht. Soon, Joel found himself alone with Aimee, having traveled all this way to see her. He couldn't help but wonder what she thought about his journey. Aimee, however, found his actions very romantic and appreciated the attention he had shown her. As they talked, Joel learned that Aimee had changed a lot in the 7 years they had been apart. She had fallen in love again and experienced the loss of the man she loved. This revelation hit Joel hard, and although he understood the circumstances, he couldn't help but feel heartbroken. He regretted not discussing things with Aimee before embarking on his journey, as he had acted impulsively. Despite the situation, Aimee still suggested that Joel join her colony and follow the captain. She seemed unaware of how the captain's assistance might turn out. In the evening, everyone gathered around the table and listened in admiration to the captain's tales. He claimed that survival on land was impossible, and the only way to ensure their safety was to travel by water. Joel, however, held a different perspective. Having survived a week-long journey himself, he believed that people should continue to fight for the land, even though he didn't have a specific plan in mind. The captain proposed that everyone should follow him, leaving Joel feeling lost and conflicted. He decided to contact his friends back in his bunker, realizing how much he cared about them and didn't want to abandon them. When he got in touch with his friends, Joel recounted his adventures, and they listened attentively, filled with admiration. However, things weren't going well for them in the bunker. Multiple breaches had occurred, and they were barely surviving. Communication was breaking down, and Joel sensed that he had to return to them. With a heavy heart, Joel hastily packed his belongings. As he did, he noticed a gift from the captain on the table: beer and some berries. These were the same poisonous berries that Boy had warned him not to eat. It became clear to Joel that the captain was deceiving them. Rushing to the beach where the party was in full swing, Joel saw that all the members of the colony were drunk, including Aimee. He urgently pleaded with her to regain her senses and lead her people away from this dangerous situation. He felt that something sinister was afoot and needed her to act swiftly. Aimee initially doubts Joel's warning, but soon, the drunken colonists collapse. Shockingly, the girl from the boat knocks Joel unconscious. When Joel regains consciousness the next morning, he finds himself bound, just like the other colony members. At last, the captain confesses their malevolent deeds, attacking vulnerable colonies and stealing their food. But there's more to their sinister plan. The captain reveals that their boat lacks conventional fuel and relies on a mutant creature, a giant crab, that emerges from the water when hungry. This colossal monster is rapidly approaching the shore, dragging the boat behind it. Panic ensues as people scatter in fear. Aimee manages to free herself and Joel and rushes to safeguard the stolen food from the gang. Joel reluctantly takes on the task of dealing with the enormous crab, an unenviable duty he has no choice but to accept. Joel stumbles upon a trident and charges at the monstrous crab. To his astonishment, he manages to strike the creature, but the crab is still active. The captain intervenes, sending an electric current through the circuit surrounding the crab, causing it to convulse. Joel is thrown off, and Aimee is locked in a fierce struggle with one of the gang members. As the crab prepares to attack Joel again, Boy suddenly appears on the beach, barking at the crab to distract it. The captain orders the gang member to eliminate the dog, but Aimee intervenes, landing a blow on her. The distraction allows Aimee to deal with the gang member, but the captain proves to be a formidable adversary. He seizes some food and escapes in a dinghy to the yacht. Meanwhile, Joel continues his battle with the crab, which remains unharmed by the explosion. The crab periodically convulses with electric shocks and clamps its claw around Joel's leg. Aimee tosses Joel a shotgun, and he prepares to take a final shot at the mutant, aiming for its mouth to end the threat. In a surprising turn of events, Joel notices the crab's kind eyes, signaling that it's not a threat to humans, but is driven to violence by the electric shocks. He takes a shot to break the chain, freeing the crab from the captain's control. The grateful mutant swims swiftly towards the ship, dealing with its tormentors and crushing the boat with ease. Aimee and the other colony members are overjoyed with Joel's heroic actions. They express their gratitude for his rescue. However, it's time for Joel to return to his friends. Aimee bids him a warm farewell with a hug, expressing her happiness that he came. Before leaving, Joel gives Aimee his notebook containing detailed descriptions of monsters and their weaknesses. He knows this information by heart and hopes it will be valuable. Joel thanks Aimee for inspiring him to embark on this journey, believing it to be the best decision of his life. Joel, standing at the shelter's threshold, suddenly has a change of heart. He returns to Aimee and shares an affectionate kiss with her. Aimee promises to find him, and Joel departs with a heart full of happiness, accompanied by his loyal dog. Upon his return to his home colony, Joel is greeted with immense joy, and the survivors embrace him as a hero. He urges his fellow survivors to join him in venturing to the northern mountains where the survivalists have gone. Joel believes that it's foolish to confine oneself to a bunker when the world holds beauty and potential. Joel uses his radio to communicate his plans to other colonies, sharing vital information about the monsters and inspiring them to leave their bunkers and head to the mountains. Even Aimee's colony heeds the call, and people start their journey, relishing the fresh air and newfound faith in themselves. However, little does Joel know that he will soon face a daunting challenge, encountering terrifying snow spiders along the way.